Good morning, good morning, good morning. What a great and fantastic morning this is. This is day 78 of the Free to Hope presents 12 steps applied to COVID-19. To God be the glory. Yes, free stands for from recovery, emerge, empowered, to give hope to others, help others prosper equally, using the 12 recovery principles that are spiritual in nature, created by the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous over 80 years ago. No, I do not represent Alcoholics Anonymous, but on February the 23rd of 2021, we will be celebrating 21 years, one day at a time, practicing these spiritual principles in all my affairs, including COVID-19. So from November and December of 2020, my family has survived COVID-19, and for that, we are truly grateful and humbled. So therefore, we want to invite you to this recovery conversation and learning and applying the 12 spiritual principles as we apply them to this pandemic called COVID-19. But because our Creator breathed life into me this morning, breathed life into you this morning, woke you up this morning, woke me up this morning, we want to acknowledge Him and give Him the honor, the praise, and the glory, and the thank you by giving 30 seconds for a moment of silence for creating this day, this new day, and it can be a happy new day. We also want to give homage to those who have transitioned from COVID-19, left behind from COVID-19, suffering through COVID-19 on their dying bed from COVID-19, those who are intervening on behalf of others with COVID-19, those who are doing the right thing, the right next thing regarding COVID-19, and yes, those who are still defiant, still rebellious, still stubborn, still self-centered, think it's a hope, and refuse to wash their hands, social distance, contact tracing, get tested, get vaccinated, wear a mask. We need to pray for them too, because we don't know where you are in being prevention, intervention, or restoration of COVID-19, or are you being proactive, inactive, reactive, or responsible for COVID-19? So while the world simultaneously go through this pandemic, its effect, impact, and outcome, and fatalities, we want to give 30 seconds moment of silence for the entire human race. There is a solution, and they are in the 12 steps. Join me for 30 seconds with the moment of silence, giving homage to our Creator and the whole entire human race as we simultaneously deal with this COVID-19. But there is a solution. Join me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. On behalf of my Creator, our Creator, and the human race, allow me to say thank you for taking the time to share with me just 30 seconds in a moment of silence. Because there, by the grace of God, there go I, there go you, there go your loved ones, there go my loved ones. And in a 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, we relish in giving a moment of silence for those who are still sick and suffering from the disease of alcoholism, drug addiction, and the whole lifestyle. And now we want to change the area of focus to COVID-19. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me now acknowledge my sponsors who have supported and who have shared their interest in helping to share and promote the cause, all right? And many of you know my sponsors are solicited in terms of advertising their business, letting you know that they support our cause and reducing the perpetuation of COVID-19, as well as inviting you to patronize them in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So Crafty Crab Seafood, my most recent sponsor, Free to Hope, LLC, Women Do Hall Transportation Services, Mr. C's Barbershop, right? Morgan's of Delaware, and also Lady T of Delaware. And we have jewelry by Catherine Butler, right? And ultimately, we have Divine Light. Yes. So when you become a sponsor, I promote your agency. And if you have a mask, I will put that mask on as I'm doing now for Divine Light. It's an organization that has a treatment facility and supportive housing. So we want you to, again, support our sponsors. I also want to give credit to the resources that I use. Dr. Scott T. Allison in the article back in March of 2020 in Psychology Today, where he talked about the importance of learning from the wisdom of 12-step programs and the breakdown of the steps by Jason Waller. They are the resources that I've been using, and I believe in giving credit to where credit is due. If you would like to be a sponsor, please contact me, edwina.bell@yahoo.com or 302-690-6679, or you can cash app $free to hope. From recovery, emerge empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. This information is free to the public, and we want to be on as many platforms as possible. And that's where your financial support as a sponsor will go towards. So please consider and contact me if you have any questions. Now, we also want to thank all of you who have been tuning in here recently, calling me, texting me, emailing me, commenting, and how you enjoy the information that's being provided and how you are learning so much, and more importantly, how you have been convinced, motivated, inspired to practice these 12 spiritual principles and practice the CDC's simple suggestions. All right. So let's continue because we have a lot to cover. And I want to acknowledge what I said was Dr. Scott T. Allison. That was his article back in March of 2020, where he described in 7 points the benefit of using the Al-Anon 12-step program, the same 12 steps, on how wisdom of the 12-step programs can help us through the month of April of 2020. Now we're in a new year and a new month and a new day. And COVID-19 is still taking lives. And we want to have you go and do your own research and study the 7 points that he made, and letting go of control, patience, keeping the focus on oneself, trust, living in the present, social connections, service to others. Now, many of you may have heard or heard about or seen people go to these 12-step program meetings. So what are they and how can we apply it to COVID-19? They are: we admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, and sanity only means soundness of mind. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove our defects of character, which is the principle we are on and have been for a few days, right? 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others, even you. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry it out regarding COVID-19. And 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others regarding COVID-19 and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So I have been presenting to you my experience, strength, hope, wisdom of applying the 12 recovery principles in all my affairs from April the 1st of 2020, right? Being in this fellowship for nearly 31 years, one day at a time. Through the article of Dr. Scott T. Allison, I was prompted by the Spirit to share with you that information. Now, so go back as far as April the 1st to see my first introduction of the 12 steps and it being focused on COVID-19. Now, if you want to see what COVID-19 looked like on me, I suggest you go back to December the 3rd, and you will see this picture. And the one that is with me looking very sickly, don't have any dentures in my mouth, sweaty, sore, could hardly breathe, couldn't hardly smell. My taste buds were affected. My whole body ached like a toothache. And as a result of that December the 3rd picture, and now the transformation to what you see now, you can see I am transparent, and I want you to be able to see what COVID-19 looked like on me. So when we talk about transparency, that is my motto. I contributed to contracting COVID-19 because even with the information of the 12 steps, I did not apply them. Therefore, I contracted it and contributed to infecting my loved ones from as young as 2 years old up until 78. And as a result of contracting it and surviving it, listen, the Spirit say, now you got 2 ways to share your experience, strength, and hope and wisdom, not just with alcoholism and drug addiction, right, but also with COVID-19. And that's why I believe I have been prepared to sit before you. That's why that 6th step that we're on is so vitally important, that I be entirely ready for the God of my understanding to remove any and all character defects that prevent me from telling you the truth, from being transparent, so that you, like I, can save each other's lives, save the lives of our loved ones, save our culture, save our community, our city, our state, and our country. And if we do this simultaneously around the world, we can, we will, we must stop the perpetuation of COVID-19. So the solutions are in the steps. And the CDC recommendations are what's going to help us focus on washing our hands, wearing our mask, social distancing, right? Contact tracing, getting tested, and getting vaccinated. So, like I told you, I'm transparent. You may be from Missouri, so check this out. Here's my vaccination. I got my first shot a couple weeks ago. I'm waiting to be contacted to get my booster. So I have to lead by example, and I want to demonstrate with you that, listen, if it's going to help save the lives of myself and thereby save the lives of my family members, then do your research, do your homework, ask the questions to dispel any kind of rumors or myths or misinformation that you may have about the vaccine. And know this, that the vaccine only, based on my research, based on me asking the questions, based on me evaluating, analyzing the information, is only designed to decrease the severity of the symptoms should you contract COVID-19, thereby reducing the possibility of being hospitalized, thereby reducing the possibility of you dying, of me dying. And so we need to get vaccinated, and we need to continue to practice those simple suggestions so that we don't cause harm to others. And we don't contract COVID-19. So I just want to show you that I'm from Missouri, not literally, but you may be too. And I want to show you from the horse's mouth what COVID-19 looked like, as well as me getting vaccinated and wearing my mask, social distancing, right? Contact tracing, getting tested, and getting vaccinated, all right? So we say in the 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, some of us must die in order for some of us to live. And I could have very well died, and members of my family. Why? Because I was defiant, I was rebellious, I was stubborn, I was self-centered, I was selfish. I had that attitude of being invincible, that I won't contract COVID-19, but I did. And I infected members of my family. And so when they say some of us are constitutionally incapable of being honest, there are those among us who fit that criteria. And therefore, we have to pray for them and protect ourselves from them, and hopefully from themselves. There is also a saying in our 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, there by the grace of God, there go I. And if you are willing to be honest, the how of how it works, H is for honesty, O is for open-mindedness, and W is for willingness. And when we embark on these 12 steps that are spiritual in nature, that will help us to get honest, help us to be open-mindedness, and definitely help us to be willing. Because there's no sense in getting the information if you're not going to use it. And so the how of how it works can save our lives and stop the perpetuation of COVID-19 and all these other variants that are among us. Okay. So that's why with Jason Waller, the other resource that I use, JASONWAHLER, I use his information to break down the steps in a simplistic way with his resources, coupled with his experience, strength, and hope, and I get to interject mine. So let's continue our presentation and move forward to what we have to offer, and also to let you know that with Jason Waller on jasonwaller.com and breaking down these 12 spiritual principles, that he poses a series of questions as to the importance of embarking on the spiritual principles, doing them, applying them, the benefits of them, and the attainment of a spiritual awakening, a psychic change. as Dr. Carl Jung and Dr. Bob and Bill W., the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, they realized the religious sector is limited, the medical sector is limited. What helped Alcoholics Anonymous, drug addicts, and now those suffering from COVID-19, that we as a world need divine providence. We need divine intervention to bring us to divine light so that we can adapt those attitudes, ideas, behaviors, actions, choices, and decisions that are designed to save a life and not take it. Designed to save our family, our culture, our community, our city, our state, our country. And if we do it simultaneously and holistically, we can, we will, we must stop the perpetuation of COVID-19. These numbers that you see are just reported. Multiply that 2 to 3 times the more. And pray that it doesn't touch you. But I'm sure you know somebody, you heard of somebody, and it's becoming closer and closer and closer to your environment like it did mine. So I know, because of my defiance, my selfishness, my self-centeredness, my rebellious nature, and I needed to ask God to remove all those defects of character so that I can help save one more life, one more family. And maybe it's you and your family, but I'm definitely going to do it for me and my family. All right, so let's see what we have covered, these first 5 steps. And the reason why repetition is so important, if you go to an AA meeting, they're going to read how it works, the traditions, the reflection reading. They're going to have announcement, talk about the 7 tradition. So there is a format that we do constantly every day as a reminder to those who've been there, as an introduction to those who are new, a person who may have, I'm going to say dementia or Alzheimer's, and they need to be reminded. Repetition is so important because we never know what stage that student is ready so that the teachers can continuously appear. So, for recovery principle number 1, we admitted we were powerless over COVID-19 and that our lives had become unmanageable. This step needs to be taken 100%, total acceptance without any reservations. When you extract Jason Waller's breakdown and study it, apply it, and practice it, you will see why. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, and that only means soundness of mind, being able to make sound decisions of why you should wear the mask, why you should wash your hands, why you should social distance, why you should get tested, why you should get vaccinated, being restored to soundness of mind. Okay, and so if that higher power comes in the form of the CDC suggestions, tangible evidence, experiences of others expressed in groups, your higher power can restore you like it did me to soundness of mind. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. So that power or powers greater than you that help restore you to practicing the CDC's simple suggestions, incorporating these 12 spiritual principles. Why wouldn't I want to make that decision every day, all day? And you hear the key word, practice, right? All right, so let's go on to number 4. It says here, made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. This is where we find out those character defects of being defiant, being rebellious, being egotistical, being selfish, being self-centered, where we find those defects of character. And we were born with natural instincts, but they begin to far exceed their intended purpose, and therefore it defected our character. So once we do that inventory, we have knowledge of why, what happened, what happened to us, not what's wrong with us. Why am I that way? Why do I think that way? Why do I make decisions that way? Well, it's through this searching and fearless more inventory that we discover those old and existing attitudes, ideas, and behaviors and see how they have been destructive towards ourselves and others. Right? So once we find that out, we select a person and we admit to God, to ourselves, and another human being, the exact nature of those character defects, right? So when we talk about that onion and we talk about that iceberg that's above the water, we want to go to the exact nature of that iceberg that's submerged under the water as wide and as deep as it is, right? To get to the core. When we present ourselves as an onion, we know that we are layered with so much stuff, but at the core is our natural God-given instincts. And all we're asking is to help us get to the exact nature of those character defects. All right. And so now we know we on recovery principle number 6. And as I shared with you all, I like to use myself as an example. So I discovered this next time and during my 4th step that I had a resentment against COVID-19. That resentment was camouflaged by anger, uncertainty, confusion, frustration, disbelief, and ultimately fear. I had a resentment against myself and my reaction to COVID-19. So resentment was camouflaged by stupidity, defiance, rebellion, selfishness, self-centeredness, regrets, remorse, and fear, right? So usually in a 12-step program, we acknowledge that we have taken so long a negative aspect to fear, and we forget everything and run. But in recovery, we learn to apply a positive and spiritual angle to the word fear, and we have the acronym of face everything and recover. All right. So now that we have that, let's go on. As I said, we have a lot to cover. Now, in step 6 with Jason Waller's breakdown, we're entirely ready to have God remove all defects of character. Do you see the word all? All. And just the fact that the word defect should be enough to want you to have them all removed. Anything that's defective in its nature, we should not want. We should not use because it's no good to us. No matter how good it makes us feel, no matter how we enjoy them, the word defect is enough to want them all removed. And the Creator is the only one who can remove them. We just have to become entirely ready to have them all removed. Why? Because the important thing is this, by Charles Du Bois: to be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could become. Can we just focus on this for a second, right? I had a dream last night that I was sitting next to somebody and they were wearing a mask. I was wearing a mask. And for whatever reason, we took off our mask, and wouldn't you know, the next morning I got contacted by that individual to say he tested positive for COVID-19. So you see, even in that dream, that I had last night, sitting with somebody with the mask on, me having my mask out, that we dropped our guard for one moment and we took them down. And the next moment I got a call that he tested positive for COVID-19. So that's what he means, right? When he says to be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could become, right? Had I kept on my mask, had he kept on his mask, right? I would not have been subjected to contracting COVID-19, right? And so in that dream, I said to myself, oh, right, here we go again. I got to go get tested. So that's what we mean by having the ability at any moment to sacrifice what we are, being stubborn, being defiant, being rebellious, being self-centered, being egotistical, being prideful. Why? Because of a mask? Are you kidding? Huh? We want to be able to share that information as much as we can with as many people as possible so that we do not die. We do not become subjected to this COVID-19. We don't have to contribute to infecting our loved ones. So are you able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could become? And that's why this sixth step is so crucial. So let's get to stepping and see what else he has to say. Now, we're talking about Jason Waller, right? And again, Dr. Scott T. Allison refers to these points as well in his article produced in Psychology Today. So, some of you may think, well, what are character defects? Okay, well, listen. I'm not saying you should know. I'm not even going to assume you may be from Missouri. Okay, here we go. Some of the most obvious deadly sins or character defects are pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth, right? Also, anger, resentment, dishonesty, defiance, rebellion. And if you think about some of your character defects, what would they be, right? And we, in the sixth step, want to be able to get to the exact nature of where those character defects came from, right? And that's why doing that fourth step is so important. If the God of our understanding, right, wants to prepare us for things yet to come, if he wants to prepare us to be used by him, then he wants us to address our defects. He already knows them, but he wants us to become willing to have them removed so that he can use us, so that he can prepare us for things yet to come, so he can bless us, so that we can be a blessing to others. That's why we need to be entirely ready to have anything and everything removed that hinders us from practicing these CDC suggestions, right? And getting to the exact nature after doing our inventory and identifying those character defects, talking with somebody to help us get to the deep core of where they came from, when and how they were formulated. And once we acknowledge them, you present yourself to the God of your understanding. Say, here I am. Do with me as you will. Take away anything that hinders me from taking these simple suggestions of wearing a mask. Come on. Washing my hands. Come on. Contact tracing. Come on. Social distancing. Come on. Getting tested. Come on. And getting vaccinated. Are you serious? Yes. So whatever hinders you in your character defects, you need to become entirely ready to have God remove them so he can save your life, your loved ones, and you can save the lives of others. That's why. All right, so I know I get a little, what can I say? All right, so let's go to the next slide, and we're going to we started here yesterday about the questions, right? And so we have some time to get into the questions. So let's pause and take a drink, not a alcohol, but a coffee. Because why? I can breathe. When I contracted COVID-19, I could not take a deep breath. I could not smell. I could not taste to my full capacity, but I can breathe. I can taste. I can smell. I can see. I can hear, but I am now listening. And that's what we say in the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. You may hear, but we need to listen. Listening implies there's some instructions. You're listening to learn. You're learning to listen, to do something, to carry out something. And so that's why these recovery conversations is geared towards you listening, not with your physical ear, but your spiritual ear as a result of these 12 spiritual principles. Not look at life with your physical eyes, but from a spiritual perspective, from your spiritual eyes. Donna Lawrence says we are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. We are a spiritual being living and walking this natural experience. So when we learn how to apply and practice these 12 steps that are spiritual in nature, we are learning to deal with any life situations in this physical manner, this physical form, but from a spiritual angle. So the 12 steps are designed to give you a spiritual experience that will generate a spiritual awakening, that will increase your spiritual maturity, right? So that you can have that spiritual transformation and achieve a psychic change. That psychic change, right, includes looking at things from a spiritual angle in all these physical conditions. And when we learn to do that, we have no problem with taking the simple suggestions applied through CDC, right? All right, so Jason Waller had these, the foundation. So now we're getting into the questions, okay? So yesterday I shared with you how Jason Waller's introduction to the questions was from his angle from alcohol and drugs as well as mine. So now I'm going to do the same introduction, but I'm going to change the area of focus from alcohol and drugs to COVID-19. So listen. Okay? It says here in step 6, we get to put down the anvil. We get to put the anvil down. For many of us, regarding this COVID-19, carrying around the 6th step of our stuff, right? And of some pretty heavy shortcomings, not only slows us down in the progress of dealing with COVID-19, it also puts us at risk of contracting or recontracting COVID-19 and infecting others, okay? We've had, it also says, we had these defects, being defiant, being rebellious, being stubborn, having the attitude of being invincible, we're about to let go of for a long time. And so when we look at the need to have them removed and become entirely ready in order to save our lives and the lives of our loved ones, right? So there's probably a measure of fear about changing. And so we, in a 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, we learn the acronym for fear is not to forget everything and run, but to face everything and recover so that we can be set free from recovery, emerge empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally, right? Because change means the unknown. And the unknown is part of why we drank or used. But check this out. We already know if we don't change our attitudes, ideas, behaviors, actions, choices, decisions, we do know the unknown. It is called severity of symptoms. It is called suffering. It is called death. So we know what COVID-19 can do, will do, is doing. So it ain't like we don't know, we know. So you mean to tell me, and I'm talking about me, You mean to tell me that even though y'all are showing me, telling me that this is what's going to happen if I don't practice these simple suggestions, I know what's going to happen. You're showing me it's going to happen. I see it happen, and I still refuse. Lord, help me and help us all. Wow. So yes, changing may be fearful, but changing will save your life. All right? And so now that we know what COVID-19 outcomes, impact, and fatalities are, we don't want to be a part of the problem anymore. We want to be a part of the solution. Okay? It says it's important to keep a sense of hope and trust. It's important to keep a sense of hope and trust. How can we keep a sense of hope and trust if we're not doing it? Huh? If we're not doing it, how can we have any hope? How can we have any trust in what? When you don't even have it in yourself. I don't have it in myself. Are you kidding me? It's important to keep a sense of hope and trust. And it starts with me. It starts with the CDC's suggestions. It starts with the evidence. It starts with the research, the data, right? The vaccination. There is hope. There is trust. Okay? And the process of recovering from COVID-19 has worked on even the most deeply rooted character defects. Ask those individuals who have lost loved ones to COVID-19. Ask them what they're doing now. Ask me. What am I doing differently? What did I had to change? I had to change my freaking attitude. I had to change my perspective. I had to change my ideas. Yes, I had to change my decisions. I had to change my choices. Yes, I had to change or die. So we had these defects. We are about to let go, aren't we? Aren't we? Aren't we? You better believe it. We had these defects we are about to let go of for a long time. So there's probably a measure of fear about change. However, because change means the unknown, but now that we know, right? Is part of why we still are in the dark, why we are still subjected to being defiant and being rebellious. Why? Because we resist change. But guess what? Change is necessary. It says, in keeping the hope and trust in this process of combating COVID-19, right? That has worked on the most deeply rooted character defects. So those individuals who've lost loved ones, if they could tell you what they would have done differently, if those who could talk now who have transitioned, they would have told you something different, right? Because their character defects was deeply rooted. Are yours? Are you that egotistical? Are you that selfish, that centeredness, right? Are you that stubborn? There's help for you, okay? Now, all right, this is the good part. All right, so let's start with the questions, all right? And we are going to start with question number 1. All right. Now, these are the questions. There are 8 of them that are posed by Jason Wallers. That's jasonwaller.com if you want to follow me and also do the exercise as well. So it says, what are your fears about doing a 6-step? What are your fears about doing a 6-step? What are your fears about becoming entirely ready to have your Creator remove any and all things that have defected your character over the years and even now. What is your fear? What are your fears? Let's talk about them. Let's evaluate them. Let's decipher them. Let's examine them. What are your fears? So are you willing to face all your fears so that you can get a better understanding of why we need to face everything and recover, even our fears? So becoming entirely ready to have God, our creator, remove any and everything that stops us from using common sense, practicing some simple steps that are spiritual in nature, taking the CDC suggestions. Wouldn't you want to become entirely ready, or would you want to be a part of the problem? Could very well cause your death, my death, the death of our loved ones. So we need to address those fears about doing step 6. Either we are going to let go of, either we are going to be willing, not with resistance, not with hesitation, without no reservations. We need to become entirely ready and become entirely willing. To embrace recovery principle number 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove any and everything that hinders us, right? That stands in the way of him using us, that stands in the way of subjecting our actions, choices, decisions, and contracting and infecting people with COVID-19. Wouldn't you want them removed? So let's talk about the fears. When we in Alcoholics Anonymous, you better believe, on February the 22nd of 1990, underneath that parked car, getting high with my stepson, doing all kinds of sexual favors with my stepson, you better believe I had every inch of my body, my spirit, my soul entirely ready to have God either take me out this life or show me a better way. And if he removed that obsession and that compulsion from me, he can remove any and everything that stands in the way of me staying sober and me practicing these principles in all my faith. Yes, remove anything, everything, because I want to be used by you. I want to be prepared by you. I want to be shaped, molded by you, so that you can use me. Our Creator uses broken, shattered, and wounded people like me and like you to do what? To rescue wounded, shattered, and broken people like me and like you. Would you want to be a help and not a hindrance to your fellow human being, your loved ones, even to yourself? Then let's talk about any and all fears, and let's face everything and recover. All right, let's go to question number 2. All right, question number 2 says, what does it mean that a higher power can remove them? All right, what does it mean that a higher power can remove them? What does it mean that a higher power can remove them? So Jason Waller and people in addiction, from gambling, working, overeating, all of that, right? We, with these the disease of addiction, we think we possess the power to stop. We think we possess the power to make sound decisions and sound choices. That's what we think. And if you ask a person in recovery, they will tell you that our best thinking got us into this predicament. You heard that? Our best thinking got us into this predicament, right? And so we could not remove anything. We could not change ourselves. If we could have changed ourselves, I would have stopped long time ago. If I thought I had the power to change myself. I wasn't even aware to the extent from a spiritual angle, but only a physical angle, that I had these character defects. So if I was still stuck on these character defects, how could I possibly change them when I enjoyed them or liked them too much, or they were my survival tools, but they were defected, right? So look at my thinking. Why would I want to hold on to character defects? Why do I think that I can stop and start when I feel like it? No. But the disease of addiction, with our mindset, with our old and existing attitudes, ideas, and behaviors, they are deep-rooted. They are so deep-rooted that we even rationalize the most outrageous nonsense by our thinking. So it goes back to who gave us our spirit? Who provided us with natural instincts for survival, for security, for socialization, for protection? Who provided those natural God-given instincts? The Creator himself. So if he gave us natural instincts, and he knows which ones have far exceeded their intended purpose and therefore have become defected, garbage, trash, illness, sickness, right? Mental illness, substance abuse, all that kind of stuff, right? If he created us and gave us God-given natural instincts, he knows which ones have far exceeded their intended purpose, even if we don't want to acknowledge it. But like I said, who wants anything that's defective? Even if it feels good, it's on a limited mission, right? So I and people in recovery, we thought we could stop drinking. We thought we could stop using. We thought we could stop prostituting. We thought we could stop stealing and lying. No, because under the lash of our alcoholism, drug addiction, and whatever kind of addiction, you're going to feed me. So I need the power greater than me that gave me that natural instinct in the beginning, that see where it is defective, to remove them. I have to be willing to have them removed. I need to be entirely ready. I don't want to live no more like that. I don't want to continue to lie to myself. I don't want to continue to harm myself. No. And I don't want to continue to harm you. I don't want to continue to drink. I don't want to continue to use. So underneath that parked car, that's when I cried out, whoever they say you are, take me out this life now or show me a better way. I became entirely ready to have this power greater than me remove any and everything, even though I didn't know him personally. But whoever they say you are, take me out this life now or show me a better way. And if he removed that obsession and that compulsion for me to drink and use, oh my God, he can move any and everything that stands in the way from being useful to him and being useful to my fellow man. So what does your higher power mean to you? What does it mean that a higher power can remove them? What does it mean? If you're like me, it could mean freedom. From recovery, emerge empowered. It means freedom. He can remove any and all defects of character so that we can emerge free. That's what it means. that a higher power can remove them. And why does he remove them? And why are we set free? To help another person, to be of service to others. As Dr. Allison said in his 7th point, service to others. We are born to serve, but we have to be prepared to be of service. And the God that created us, gave us natural instincts, cannot use any parts of your character that are defected. And all he's asking you is, are you ready to have them removed? Whew, thank you, Lord. I tell you, let's go on, all right? All right, so let's go to recovery principle number 3. Point number 3, question number 3. It says here, what is your responsibility? What is your responsibility regarding recovery principle number 6? What is your responsibility? In our addiction of alcoholism and drug addiction and all that, they would ask us, we have this information. We know that it can help you. It has helped millions of others. We are making only suggestions to you, right, to address your issues regarding your disease of alcoholism, drug addiction, and all its associated ideas, attitudes, ideas, behaviors, action, choices, and decisions, right? And so if we have this information at your feet, what is your responsibility? Now that we have provided you any and everything that you need. Let me ask you this. Do you want them? Now that's the question to ask. Do you want the help that's available? Do you want to live or do you want to die? We know, I know you need the help, but do you want it? Do you want to practice the simple suggestions of the CDC? Do you want to wear a mask? Do you want to wash your hands? Do you want to social distance? Do you want to get tested? Do you want contact tracing? Do you want to get vaccinated? There's a different mindset from those who need and those who want. As a result of me and my family members contracting COVID-19, you better believe I want to do these CDC suggestions. I want to apply these 12 spiritual principles. I want it. So when we ask, what is your responsibility with these tools that are laid at your feet? You know you need to pick them up. But the question is, do you want to pick them up? And why would you want to pick them up? So that's what I mean with these questions, right? We ask what your responsibility is. So we need to examine. We need to kind of get to the nitty gritty. We need to ask some other questions so you can answer that question. Why would you need to be responsible? And do you even want to be responsible? Or do you choose to be defiant, rebellious, stubborn as a result of working the other 5 steps? How much did you really work on them? Because if you worked on them and applied them and practiced them, you would have obtained that spiritual awakening that created and increased your spiritual maturity, that helped you obtain that psychic change. So you doggone right, you know you're going to pick them up because you want to, and you're going to pick them up because it is designed to save your life and the lives of your fellow man. Because nothing else won't matter if you're not living. How about that? Whew. All right, let me stop there. Okay, so tomorrow, if it's God's will, we are going to be reunited on day 79. and we will discuss the other questions posed by Jason Waller. All right. And so I just want to ask you the same question. Are you being in the prevention, intervention, or restoration mode of COVID-19? Are you being proactive, reactive, inactive, or responsible regarding COVID-19? Only you can answer those questions, all right? So if it's God's will that he breathe life into us and wake us up tomorrow, we will be reunited. In the meantime, I want to once again thank my sponsors. And I also want to, show you me getting the vaccination shot, right? And I want to also, share with you the importance of these 12 spiritual principles and encourage you to go get that article by Dr. Scott T. Allison, all right? And so until we meet again tomorrow, be safe, be safe, be safe. Here go my sponsors. Let's bring them on. All right. And thank you. Support them, encourage them. And if you would like to be a sponsor, please feel free to contact me, get the information as well. You can be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. It's very easy. Edwina.bell@yahoo.com, 302-690-6679, or cash at me to $free to Hope. And if you're from Missouri and you want to see me get this vaccination shot, let's show you that as well. All right?
All righty. Can you take a still shot next to the doctor here?
Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's do from the beginning. I want to show you
I
that
think
I
I got some.
shot. And I'm waiting on my second dose, right? All right, so let's go here. All right.
Woo! All right, here we go, my daughter. Got it.
Okay, I got the shot. So God be with you, and I will leave you with my book and information about how to contact me as well. So be safe, and to God be the glory.